Hi, we're live. This is our RockSim training class. We do more than RockSim training here. I don't have an agenda for today, so if you have a question about RockSim, go ahead and put it in the comments right now so that I can talk about what's important to you. Like as I said, this is our RockSim Live event. We do these every Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 12 noon Eastern. We are recording this. It will be archived on the Apogee website. It's also posted on YouTube. So people that are watching YouTube later, welcome to the event. Again, this is about RockSim. RockSim is a software to design and simulate model rockets. If you've never used RockSim before and you'd like to try it out, come to the Apogee website. Let me show you where that is here. Give me a new browser window. If you come to the Apogee website, there's this banner bar up here, and there's this one that says RockSim 10 now available. This is where you would upgrade it. If you want to try the free trial version, just click on free trial version right there, and that will take you to a place where you can enter your name and download it right away. You can also, back on that page is where you could purchase the software, or you could upgrade. If you had an older version, we're giving a free upgrade for people that have version 9 or 10.0 to the latest version, which is 10.1. 10.1 was released last week, so it's 7 days old already. And if you have that, there's going to be a 10.1.1 because we've discovered a couple of bugs, and I'll show you those bugs here in just a second. Look, we already got somebody that's asking a question. Joe Noble, you're welcome, Joe. He asks how to handle tip fins, and also can RockSim be installed on a drive other than C drive? Okay, I'll answer that second one first because I don't think it can. Yeah, I don't think we've. There's been some issues when people try to install it on other drives other than C drives. So just install it on C drive for now. In the future, we're going to be going into the cloud, and then it won't matter. But for now, for the at least probably like a year, it's still going to be on the desktop only. Like I said, we released version 10.1 last Friday, and there was one major bug that I want to show, and I'll show you the workaround for it. And it has to do with dual deployment rockets. So if you're in RockSim, this is what it will look like when you first start it. There's a file open button up here, or else you can go to the file menu and choose open. Oh, you're not seeing my screen, are you? Okay, let me give you my screen. Here I was showing you how to get to RockSim and you didn't even see my screen. Sorry about that. Let me show you that one more time. So if you're on the Apogee homepage, there's a banner right here on the top of the screen. Just slide it over to where you get to RockSim. And you can click on that, and this is the page where I was talking about, where you can download the free trial right here, or you can order it right here, or you can upgrade. And if you had version 9 or 10.0, or actually version 9, you would click on this link right here. If you had 10.0, what you do is actually you go back to the home page and just go down here a little bit, and you see update now to RockSim version 10.1 from 10.0. This is where you upgrade. The upgrade is free, so there was no charge from 10.0 to 10.1. But there was a little bug in 10.0 that prevented automatic upgrades from occurring. So basically, what you need to do is to download the software, which is the trial version. The trial version and the full version are exactly the same. The trial version is unactivated, where the full version, you activate it, and that opens up all the features. And it removes that 30-day time restriction. So you'll download that, install that, and now you have 10.1. And if you want to save your files, or if you want to protect your files, click on that link that I just clicked on, and it takes you to this page where there is an upgrade video for both Windows and Mac that shows you the upgrade process. Like I said, on Windows, it's not working at all. Not all the Windows. Some people it's working for, but most people it's not. So the first part of this video says go to the check for updates, but it's not going to work. It's kind of like going here to the help menu and you do check for updates, and it goes out to our website and it looks and it says there's no updates available at this time. Well, if you're running 10.0, that's the screen you're going to get on Windows. I'm already up on 10.1 on this computer, so there's no new updates available yet. But as I said, there will be an update. There'll be a 10.1.1. The 0.1 on the end just means it's a bug fix. That's all we're going to change. So you can tell which version you have if you go to the About RockSim. On Macintosh, it's on the RockSim menu, and I think on Windows, it's under the Help menu. And you just do About, and it tells you which version you have. So I have right here 10.1.0 F172, which is the one that was released last Friday on February of 2021, in case you're watching this video. Okay. So I wanted to show you that bug. So I'm going to open an existing design. So I'll click on the File Open button, and it doesn't matter which design we need to open. So I'll just open the katana. So this is what the katana looks like. And over here, I'm looking at it from the side view right now. I can go to a three-dimensional view, and I've got it on transparency. So let me turn that off. Oops, wrong one. So this is what it looks like. I've got my mouse really big so that you can see where my mouse goes. This is just a setting on my computer. On your computer, that mouse cursor is not going to be nearly this big. I just set it there just for this video so you can actually see where I'm moving my mouse. So I'm clicking and dragging my mouse, and then you can rotate it around at any angle. So what I need to do is to run a dual deploy situation on this rocket. So in dual deploy, you need two parachutes. And I have two parachutes here. I have a 48-inch parachute that's located in the top body tube. So that's, let me go back to 2D. So that's this parachute right here. The P stands for parachute. And then I got a smaller parachute here in the back. It's in this back one right here, and it's this other P right there. So that's my other parachute. So this is the drogue parachute, and this is the main parachute. And you know what I think I'll do is I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to change that name to drogue. It really helps to have things named properly. People send me files all the time, and they're just named parachute or tube, and I don't know what they are, and then I have to hunt them down and find out what I'm actually looking at. On this screen right here, you can see the parachute is the one color that's different, so it's right here. And you can make this screen bigger as you hover the cursor over that dot right there. You can see it changes to a double cursor, and then I can drag that up and make that screen bigger. So we're gonna change the name of that parachute right now. So I'll click OK for that. And when I go back here, you can see that parachute's name has changed. So now we're going to load an engine in here. So I'll just click this button right up here on the top. That's prepare for the launch. It's actually like a rocket sitting on the launch pad, and those two little things sticking out, those are the wires for your clips to hook onto. So it needs a 54 millimeter motor, so I'm going to choose an engine. And it doesn't really matter which one I'm going to choose. I'll choose this J135W. It shows me right now initially as it plugged, and I can select the delay I want. I'm going to select a 14-second delay. It doesn't matter because it's dual deploy. It's going to ignore the times anyway because I'm going to set it in the events tab. So at least the motor's loaded right now. You can see at the rear view of the rocket, the motor is now loaded. It's colored, and if I look over here on the side, you can see the motor's loaded. So under flight events, I want to, so I have my main parachute and my drogue parachute. My drogue, I'm going to have it selected at a time, deploy at Apogee, so right at the peak of the flight is when I'm going to deploy it. And now my 48-inch parachute, I want to deploy at an altitude because an altimeter is going to control when this event happens. So when you're doing dual deployment, there's usually electronics on board, like an altimeter that controls when that event happens. So my altitude that I want to set it at, I'm going to say 300 feet. Now this is where the bug is, right here, because that 300 feet, RockSim thinks that's 300 meters. So it's going to deploy it twice, almost 3 times as high. We're going to be well over 900 feet. So if I go to the flight profile and I do a launch here, and it's going to bring up a 2D view of the flight. Okay, so here's my rocket sitting down here, and I'll click launch. You can see the rocket's taking off. That stuff coming out the back is smoke. And you can see it's kind of drifting slowly with the wind. Rocket's going up, up. It's going to get to its apogee point, and we should see that drogue parachute pop out right there. So now my drogue is popped out and it's coming down. We're watching this altitude right here. So I'm going to speed it up here quickly. So it's dropping fast because it's a small parachute. So right here, see right there, you see this little dog leg? That indicates that something different happened, something changed. So the big parachute popped out at this point. And you can see we're well over 900 feet because RockSim thinks that's in meters, not in feet. So we set 300 feet, but it's actually in meters. So that's the bug. So the workaround is actually pretty easy. You just convert 300 feet to meters. So I'm going to try Surrey here. Surrey will convert 300 meters or 300 feet to meters. It's not doing it. I don't know what it is. It's probably about, I don't know. If you have the answer, let me know what it is. Okay, so that's the workaround. So if I knew 300 meters was like about 100 or maybe 98 feet, or 300 feet is 98 meters, somewhere in that area. I'm guessing. I don't know what it is. So then I just reset it. And so now when it reruns that simulation, my rocket's down here. It takes off. I'm moving it along fast so that you can see what's going on. Okay, we're past 900 feet now. And the rocket's getting close to the ground. And then right there. That was pretty close. So, yeah. So my 300 feet, when I said 98 meters, that's close. I guessed. I'm a good guesser. Brian Barbalis says 980. I think you're missing a decimal there. But thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Okay, so that's the one bug that people have noticed already in RockSim version 10.1. We're going to have a fix for that. We've already actually fixed it, but we're going to kind of hold back in case there's other bugs that we need to fix. So it's not a big bug because there is a workaround. Just kind of be aware of that. I can also show you another change that we're working on. Maybe I'll save that for later. Okay, so the question that Joe asked was how to handle tip fins. Okay, so let's open up a new design. So you have this rocket right here has slanted tip fins on the tip. And I want it nice and flat. So this is kind of similar to this rocket right here. Let me display this. It's really hard to move around. If you see me looking off over to the side here, it's because I got my monitor right here that shows me what you're seeing. So I have to check that. Okay, so tip fins is kind of like something on the tip, and this is a pod on the tip, and the tip fins are actually going to be done the same way we would do something like this with a pod. So let me show you. So first I need a rocket with a fin that's flat on the edge. So let me go here to File, Open, and I'm just going to choose something that I know that has a flat side. Nimzar? Let's try Nimzar. Save that one? No, I don't care about that one. Whoa, where'd it go? I think just RockSim crashed on me. It did. Here's the crash report. Oh, that's not good. Yeah. Okay, let's relaunch it. I'm going to go, well, now I'm going to get to show you my new feature, because I'm going to open up the one that has the bug fix in it. This is this will be version 10.1.1. So I wonder if there was something wrong with that Nimzar rocket. No, not really. So this rocket will work. So the new feature that well, it's actually a change from version 10.1. One of the things that one of the changes that we had to make because of the upgrade to our Qt software, which creates the user interface, was in the cluster, not the custom fin editor screen. So if I was adding a custom fin, so to add a custom fin, you just select where you're going to add the fin. I'm going to do it on the front tube, so it's up here, so you can see it, and then I'll just delete it. So I'm going to go to a custom fin, and I'm going to cancel out of that. And this will be the new custom fin screen. Previously, this part right here that shows the data points on the fins, it was down here below this graph. And because of that, the image of the rocket, we didn't have enough real estate, so the image of the rocket got squished really tiny. So we're fixing that. So you just have to be patient. That's coming soon. So basically, I can make that larger, and make this larger, so you can see what's going on. So that's the new feature that's coming in 10.1. So whenever we do a bug fix, we like to throw in something special. This will be the special thing to make it worth it to download. Okay, So getting back to adding tip fins. So we have the fins back here and we want to put a fin on top of that. And we want that fin to be, oh man, you're not seeing my screen again. Somebody finally came in and told me to share my screen just as I discovered it myself. So yeah, so we have people that are watching here in the building. Yeah, see, the problem with Facebook is it creates those new comments, and Joe said, we can't see, but the comment was scrolled down. It doesn't put it at the top, it puts it at the bottom. So it never showed up on my screen. So I really apologize. So now I got to go back and do a custom fin. So front body tube, highlight that, custom fin, ignore the database. So this is the new screen. So the plan points were over here. Previously they were down here, and because of that, this screen down here got shrunk really small. So we're enlarging that. By moving this up, we can enlarge that so you can see where your fins are. So when you start moving points around here, things change a lot easier and you can see them. So that's the feature that's coming in 10.1.1. Save changes? No. Okay, so now we're back to making tip fins. And what I was going to show you, is if you look at the back of the rocket, the fins are going to be horizontal to the fin that's vertically off the tube like that. So hopefully you can see that as I'm showing it. I don't want to switch screens again or I'll probably forget to switch back. You can tell this is a live event because there's no retakes. Scott Carpenter says, RockSim crashes on me at random, but my laptop isn't that powerful. I'm thinking that it's using all the RAM at certain points and that's the cause. It could be, Scott. I am running a lot of stuff right now. I got a video camera way out in front of me. You're not seeing the webcam here on my computer. You're actually looking at a video camera off. I got another monitor over here. I got this monitor here. Plus I'm running RockSim. So my fan is running right now because I'm using a lot of horsepower myself. So it's totally possible. Glenn Ahrens Sr. says the dual deployment does not work as it always uses the secondary velocity slower. I don't understand that, Glenn. If you can kind of expand on that, I can try to answer your question. Brian, the window with your display is blocking your fins. Okay, Brian. There we go. Moved it over there. So this rocket does have fins that are horizontal on top. Let's see right here. Okay, so now I am going to add a tip fin. So to add a tip fin, we're going to use a feature called pods. So a pod is kind of like a collection of parts. So it's kind of like if you're adding a second stage. So if I come over here to the Rocket Design Attributes tab and say make this a two-stage rocket, and then I go back here to Design Components, and if I scroll down, now you see there is a placeholder called Booster. And all the parts that I'm going to add are going to be added to Booster. And so Booster is a placeholder for a collection of parts. Now Pods is the same thing. It's a collection of parts that we're going to add to another part of the rocket. The difference is in Pods is that it's external to the tube. Another collection of parts similar to pods is called sub-assemblies. The sub-assemblies button is over here on the far right. It's a collection of parts. The difference between pods and sub-assemblies is on the inside of the tube, pods is on the outside. So anything on the outside of the rocket that you want to stick on the outside is a pod. Anything on the inside is a sub-assembly. Now, a pod can also have sub-assemblies inside of it. I don't use sub-assemblies too much because it's just so easy to design with RockSim that I don't need to create a collection of parts. But in creating a pod, you have to, you're forced to. So to create a pod, you first have to say, where is this piece going to be connected to the rocket? And I'm going to connect it to the fins. So if you look here, I'm touching my fin. So I'm going to say, attach my pod to this fin. So I'm going to, whoa, I lost my display stand. Here's my fin. And now I go over here to the add new components. And you can see the only component I can add, everything else is grayed out, is a pod. So I'm going to add that pod. Okay, so then you get this error message that says, pods can only be added to a single fin. You can't add them to a collection of fins. But what you can do is split your 3 fins up into 3 individual fins. So instead of having a fin set over here, we're going to have 3 fins, and we can attach the pod to one of those fins. So right now it's asking me, would you like to split up the fin set to add the pod to the first fin? And I'm going to say yes. So if you look over here, it's kind of, I can't scroll because this window came up, but now there's multiple fins right here. And this first one has an arrow, which means that a new part has been added, and that part is my pod. So here is the pod screen. Now this is just a collection of parts. So I'm going to call this my tip fin pod. So I'm going to name it. And it's just a placeholder. That's all it is. It's a placeholder where other parts are going to be connected. We're going to come back to this screen, but for now, we're just going to say OK. So imagine off here to the side, we've attached a part called a pod. You can't see it right now because it doesn't have a shape. But now, if I come over here to this fin, or this pod, I can start attaching parts to that. So I can attach a, we'll start with trying to attach a fin. So that's what we want to do. So I'm going to click on fins, and it's going to go to my database, and it's say, basically saying, do you want to attach a fin that's already in your database, a specific shape? And I'm going to say no. So that's where I'm going to hit cancel. Let me make this screen bigger. Okay. So now I'm going to say, I'm going to make it 2 fins, because on my pod, if you look here, I'm going to have 1 fin coming off to the right, to the starboard side, and then 1 fin coming off to the port sides, to the left side. Okay, so that's why I'm going to say 2 fins. So when it adds, it's going to add 1 on each side. So now we have to just give it some dimensions. So right now I'm looking at the side view. So I'm looking at it from here. You can also look at a top view looking down. So basically it's kind of like rotating the rocket 1 time over. And that's over here, this button. You select it. Now we're going to look at the top view. It doesn't look like it's changed much, but now we'll be able to see our fins as they occur. So I'm going to add a root chord length. I'm going to add a tip chord length, and I need a semi-span. And now we can start to see it. I can see it over here. Maybe I'm in the wrong. I should have been in the side view. Okay, so it did add them. Okay, so you can see that. It added the fins. So now I just want to see what the fins are there, and now I'll start adjusting the shape. So my first thing I'm going to adjust is the root chord length. So right now I got 4.87, and you can see that's much bigger than this chord length here. So I'm going to go here and make it smaller. I'm just using my arrow keys on my keyboard. You hover the mouse over the top of the slider bar, and then you can use the arrows on your keyboard, and you can adjust the fin a lot easier than trying to fine-tune it by actually sliding it. This is a little tip from I use all the time. So I'm just trying to match this blue line right here to about this line right here. I'm just going to estimate it. Yeah, it looks pretty close right there. And now my tip cord, I'm going to make it the same, so it's going to be kind of a trapezoid shape, 1.75. I'm just matching this number in the root cord length. So now it's kind of there. And now my semi-span looks pretty good. The problem is right now is, okay, if you look at my screen over here at me, my fin is going vertical right here. So we need to spin it around so it's horizontal. And to do that, you go here to the radial position tab on the top, click on that, and now we can specify a radial angle. And I've got a slider right here. You can see as I'm moving it around, my drawing is changing. And if you want to actually see it better, what you do is you go to the rear view of the rocket. So come back over here and click on the rear view button. And so now I'm looking at the rear of the rocket, and as I grab the slider, it's rotating around. You can see that. And we should be 90 degrees, so I'm just going to come over here, highlight this, and just type in 90 degrees. And then hit tab. And you can see now it's horizontal. So now, if we look at it in this view again, the fin is over here, but we need to put it over here. Let me look at it from the top view. So see that right here. Let me zoom in on this so you can see it a little bit better. So to zoom in on your mouse, do a right click, and that brings up this menu, and then you can zoom in, and you can keep zooming in, and then just click and drag, and it allows you to see what's going on. Or you can zoom original, which is the original size, and it gets you back here. Okay, so now we need to move the fin back over to here. You can't do it from the fin screen, but I want to just make sure everything else is correct, and I can see right away I don't have any material set, so I need to set that material. I'm going to set it at balsa wood. The thickness, I'll make it an 1/8 of an inch, 0.125 inches. I'm going to change the color, my 2D color, I'll make it red. It's a little easier to see. I'll also change it in 3 dimensions to red. So it's red right now. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking, there's anything else? Nope. So I'm going to say OK and save this. Okay, so now here's that new fin. I should have actually called it, see, here's where you should name things. So I'm going to open it up again and rename it. I'm going to call it tip fin. Say OK. It's actually 2 fins, like we specified 2, so it hangs out on both sides. So now to adjust the location along the rocket, go back to the pod and edit the pod. So right now here's our fin, and you can see there's a location right here, and you can take that slider bar and you can slide it back to where we think it should be. Again, you can zoom in, figure out exactly where it should be. I can look at it from the side view. Let me zoom in. You can't even see it because the pod, its color is gray, and we're editing the pod. And pod, I can't change the color. That would be a good feature to have. I'll have to remember that one. But it's right here. I can actually look at it in 3D also. So if you hold down your shift key, the arrow changes, and then you can drag it and slide it, and then I can rotate it down, and then I can zoom in using my mouse. I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse to zoom in, just to see where, if it's positioned right. And it looks pretty good, actually. It could go just a tad forward. Yeah, a little bit further back, so I'll make it 255, 256. So I'm typing in a number and hitting tab, and just seeing just ever so slightly it's moving. So that's how you fine tune it and get it into the position that you want. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back out, rotate it around. Okay, so now we do have that tip fin attached. And I'll say OK. Now if you want to change the shape of that, go back here to the tip fin. So now I said, I think I'd like that to be swept a little bit. So if I look at it kind of from the side, I'll zoom in. I'm going to take that sweep angle right here, and I'm just going to drag it and sweep it back. Oh, that looks gorgeous. I like that, huh? Let me check my comments, see if there's any more comes. It works the first time I run a simulation, but after that it changes, Glenn says. He's talking about dual deployment, even if I change the chute to no event. I have to try that, Glenn. I'm not seeing that myself. If I use a streamer at Apogee and a large chute at 300 feet, 94 meters, the streamer deploys at velocity of the larger parachute. I don't know what that means, so I'll have to try it. Okay, so getting back to this pod, so if you like the shape, click OK. So now I have the tip fin on one fin, and I want to get it to all three fins. So the easy way to do that is to do a copy paste. So I got these other two fins right here. I can either copy the one fin and paste it on the rocket, or I could try to copy the tip fin pod and attach it to the other fins. Usually it's easier to do the one. Let's try both methods. So I'm going to take the pod right here, and I'm going to do a right click on the pod. So with my mouse I'm right clicking, and it brings up this menu, and I say copy. Now I go down here to this other fin, again right click on there and hit paste, and it did paste it. See, it's right here. Let's look at it in 3 dimensions. Okay, so now I got 2 of the fins. Let's see if I can rotate it around, look at it from the back. Let me zoom out a little bit. So, okay, so you can see I got 2 of the 3 fins. I could do the same thing with this fin right here. I can just do a paste, and then I got them all attached to all of them. Now I can also take this fin, say I didn't want to do it that method. I can take this fin and delete it and say yes. So that fin goes away, and I can take this fin and do a copy, and now I need to repaste it somewhere on the rocket. So that fin was attached to this tube right here, the rear body tube. So I'll say paste on that rear body tube, and it did. It pasted it, but it pasted it right on top of the previous one. So now I need to move that fin. So to move that fin, so basically what you're seeing here is there's 2 fins right up here, and they're stacked right on top of each other, and you can't tell the difference. So to see the difference, I can come to this fin, and I can go radial position, and then I can start drag. Oh, I was wrong. It was the wrong fin that I grabbed. I was thinking it was this one. It was actually this one. You see, I'm moving it around now. Okay, so that's how you would do it if you wanted to do it. And then you just type in the exact number that you wanted, where that fin would go. And if you like it, then you'd say click OK. Okay, so that is how you add tip fins to a fin on your rocket. Makes it really cool looking. All right. So is there any other questions that people are asking? I don't see any new questions right now. So let's make this dual deployment and see if we can figure out what Glenn is seeing on his. So on my front tube, I'm going to add a parachute. Well, we already have one in there, so this is, let's call this the main parachute. Main parachute. And let's make it a little bit bigger in diameter. Let's make it 24 inches. If I look at it from the side view, here's the parachute. Let me make this screen bigger so you can see it. So here's the parachute right here. And it's a 24-inch diameter parachute. And we're going to click OK. Well, let's change the shot line length to 24 inches also. Doesn't really matter, but we'll go ahead and say that. All right, and then let's put a streamer in here to make it dual deployment. Let's put the streamer in the back one. So in my back tube, let me go to the side view again. So this tube right over here, I'm going to put a streamer, and when it shows up, it's going to be an S. So come over here to the parts. So you have to highlight it first because this is where you're going to attach it. And then say streamer. And it's looking in the database. And I'll just grab a streamer here. I'll grab the Apogee 2-inch wide Mylar streamer. Make this screen bigger. So here it is right now. I'm going to zoom in. And I'm just going to adjust the length or the position. So I'm just going to take that location and just slide it back right here. Okay, so now we have a streamer. And now let's run a simulation. In order to run a simulation, one body tube and each stage must be designated as a motor mount. Remember, I changed this into a 2-stage rocket. So it's saying, hey, on that lower stage, where's the motor tube? To get rid of that, I'm going to go back here and change it back to a 1-stage rocket. Okay, so now if I scroll down here to my parts, it's only showing the sustainer. There's no booster attached down here at the bottom. Okay, so now I can load a motor, and I didn't get that error message, so I'm going to choose an engine. I want this to go really high because we're testing dual deployment. So I'm going to choose a big motor. Let's go with an F44 or an F35. That has higher total impulse. See that right here, total impulse 57, where the F44 was a 42. So basically it means it's got more gas in the gas tank. So we're going to choose that. Choose a delay. Doesn't matter because we're going to do dual deployment. Then we're going to go to flight events. We're going to deploy the streamer at Apogee and the main parachute at altitude, and let's make it 94 meters, which is 300 feet. And click flight profile and see what happens. So here's the rocket down here on the bottom. We click launch, the rocket's taking off. It's already over 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet. It's going to go over the top. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So at Apogee, we have our streamer. The rocket's coming down. And when it gets to 300 feet down here, the parachute should pop out. And the parachute did pop out. Although the icon still shows the streamer, I can see this little tiny blue line. That's my streamer. It should have been a parachute. But I am definitely seeing a dog leg here that the rocket has changed speed as it's coming down. And if I want to check that, the speed of deployment, come over here to the details button. my screen. I don't want to cover it up with my face over here on the bottom. Okay, so I'm looking at the Y velocity right here. This is the velocity coming down vertically. So right now, I am not on the ground yet. My vertical velocity is 10.9 miles per hour. If I back this up to where the streamer was coming out, my Y velocity is 56.25 miles per hour. So coming down on the streamer, it's coming down at 56 miles per hour. And then when the parachute opens, it switches to, 10, 11 miles per hour, and it's going to hit the ground right around 11 miles per hour. Okay, so everything seems to be working, so I'm going to click cancel. And now Glenn says that after it works the first time I run the simulation, but after that it changes, even if I change the chute to no event. So I'm going to rerun the simulation. And I'm going to go to flight profile. Okay, my screen changed. That's interesting. My picture in the background, I'm just kind of watching that. That is the screen here. Scale image to fit the screen. Click OK. Okay, so now it redid my screen. The picture in the background doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of a nice thing to look at. So here's the rocket on the ground. I'm going to run this fast. Okay, it's coming down. If I look at my, oops, wrong button, my details button, looking at that Y velocity again. My Y velocity is, 57, before it was 56. It's changing a little bit as it's hitting its terminal velocity speed. Okay, so it did. So, no, actually, okay, my screen down here, because of the image, it's showing blue. So this blue right here is actually, it's retiling the image below it. I wonder if I can change that. No, it doesn't change it by changing the screen. But I'm actually seeing the dog leg, and it's down to 9 miles or 10 miles an hour, 11 miles per hour. So it did work again for me. Let's try it one more time. Flight profile, running it. I should see the same thing. Let me display the details again. Y velocity, that's this one right here. This is the vertical velocity. Okay, so that's working with the streamer. And right here, it changes again to that. So it seems to be working for me, Glenn, so I'm not sure what you're seeing. Joe Noble says, wow, you're making it look so easy. Well, I've been using this for 15 years, so yeah, I think I know what I'm doing most of the time. Glenn Aaron says, that's what you usually see. I will need to look at it again to set my streamer at ejection, not apogee. Okay. Cool. Let's say cancel this. Let's save this design, and I'm going to save it as a new name. So save as, and I'm going to call it Nemzar with tip fins. Because I want to play around, because I don't see any new questions. We still have some time left, so if you have another question, go ahead and ask it. We have someone from inside the office. It's probably Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Customer question via the phone. Do you know if hybrid motors take into account the mass of nitrous oxide and then account for the mass decrease as the rocket flies? And the answer to that question is a convoluted question, but the answer is yes, because we assume that the mass of the nitrous oxide is part of the propellant mass. So let me go, I'm just saving this design, saving it. So I don't think we have any small hybrids. And let's go look here, choose an engine, and let's show all engines, and let's make the type hybrids. So these are all hybrid motors right here. So when we load in a motor, it will load in the mass. So let me cancel this first. I want to show you that. And cancel this. Okay, so let's unload the motor. Clear all. So I'm going to click clear all, and that's going to unload the engine. Oh, it didn't. What happened? Did I click the wrong button? Highlight the motor, clear all. Okay, then it did. I didn't highlight the motor the first time. So it unmounted the motor, and click OK. So I want to say, look at this mass right here, 211.68 grams. When we load in a new motor, watch that mass over here as you load the motor. So we're choosing an engine. And the diameter filter, we're going to say show all engines, and the type only the hybrids. Oh, we do have a 29 millimeter here. So choose plugged. Doesn't matter. Actually, I was going to say custom. It's looking for a delay in custom, so I'll just use that delay and click OK. And it loaded the engine, and it loaded the mass right here. So you see that off to the side. So now we know that the mass has changed because the rocket got heavier because there's a new motor in there. And so you see that motor. Now when we do a launch, let's just launch this rocket. Okay, so that G63, it went 3,000 feet. Now I want to look at a graph of this. So I'm going to come over here to the graph. I could do the same thing like we did previously. Go to the 2D flight profile, display the details, and we could actually look at the mass. So I'm going to plot mass of the rocket, which is right here. And let's plot also altitude. And let's clear this one. To clear it, select the one on the very top that's blank, and that clears it out. And we're going to stop this chart at 7 seconds in the chart, because after that nothing really happens anyway. So now we have mass and altitude. So the mass is the blue line, altitude is the green line. So as the rocket takes off, it's losing mass. So we went from somewhere just under 3,000 grams down to this around here, about 400 grams. So we're assuming, the question was, does the hybrid motor take into account the weight of the nitrous oxide? And we assume that the weight of the nitrous oxide is part of the propellant mass. So on a hybrid, you have an oxidizer and a fuel. The fuel is usually like either a plastic fuel or even just paper, and the oxidizer is the nitrous oxide. The two combined together are what we call the propellant. And so we're assuming that the propellant and the oxidizer is included in that propellant. So do you know if the hybrid motors take into account the mass of the nitrous oxide? So yes, and then account for the mass decrease as the rocket flies. And then the answer to that is yes. As the rocket's taking off, it's losing mass. And you see that right here on this graph. So the answer to both of those is yes. Okay, Glenn says, can you try to set the streamer to deploy at max ejection delay and see if it does that? Okay. So we're going to load this engine back in, so that F-35. To do that really quick, highlight it in the chart, right click on it, and say load engines, and you'll see my big engine right here is going to switch to a smaller engine as I loaded that F-35. Now I'm going to go back here. See, that's basically saved me from going here to choose engine, because I already know what engine I want. It's already listed up here. And now under flight events, he says deploy the streamer at ejection delay, max ejection delay. So this should deploy that at 11 seconds, and then the main parachute at 300 feet. Because this, remember, there's this little bug here. This is, RockSim thinks that where it says feet, it's actually in the background, it's actually meters. So this is 994 meters, which converts to 300 feet. So that's what's going on right here. Flight profile, we'll run it again. Okay, let's display the details. And we're going to watch this bar right here as the rocket takes off. Rocket goes over the top, and the streamer should pop out at 11 seconds after engine burnout. So now the engine burnout was, you can tell where engine burnout is where the smoke stops. So 11 seconds after 1.5 seconds. So we're at 12.5 seconds is when we should see that streamer pop out. So yeah, right there. The rocket's coming down. Velocity is at 56 miles per hour. That's good. It's still the same. And then when we get down to 300 feet, I'm looking over here, our parachute should pop out. Well, it popped out here. It was a little bit lower than 300 feet though. I'm looking here, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing a change in the graph, but it's still the right velocity. So for me, it's still working. So I hope it works for you, Glenn. I don't know what you're seeing. I'm running on a Mac here. It might be a Windows thing, but I haven't seen this. I think I did. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so that is so far all the questions. I really appreciate you all being here today. Right now we've got 14 people. I wonder if it will tell me who's here. I clicked on View Insights on Facebook, but it's not telling me exactly who's here. Okay, so I hope I answered the question. So the big question for today was how to add tip fins. We also talked about the one bug in RockSim version 10.0, and that's for people doing dual deployment and setting your your altitude for deploying the main parachute. That bug is RockSim. It needs, if you're thinking about feet, you need to convert that number into meters and then put it into the screen. And then we also talked about adding tip fins, and then trying to debug or trying to see what customers are saying. We're trying to, how do you phrase this? Debugging a simulation. And so to debug the simulation, what I need is numbers. So there was two ways to see the numbers. One was to go onto that flight profile screen and hit the details, and that gives me a big chart of numbers to look at in real time. And the other way is to look at it on the graph, so you can plot things out. All those numbers that you saw on the 2D flight profile, those are all available on the graph. So you can graph any one of those. I think you can graph up to 4 different parameters at any one time, so you can see what's changing in your flight. Okay, we've gone about 1 hour, so I guess we'll go ahead and quit unless there's any last minute questions. Gregory King, Gregory, you're a regular here. I appreciate it. He says, you're the man. I'm Mr. RockSim. And then Glenn says, thanks for trying. I will continue to work on it and send you an email if I can't figure it out. Yeah, so yeah, don't be afraid to play around. Like what I did here, I resaved it as a different name. So if you want to play around and change things, then that keeps your old design, so you're not screwing up your old design. If I was playing around, I would do that. That way I have my old design and I can always reload it. This is RockSim. You can play around. It's not like real flight where you're risking breaking your entire rocket. With RockSim, everything's happening virtually, so you can see what's going on. I hope we've learned a lot of new things today. Every time I play with RockSim, I'm always discovering something new. As I was playing around here, I thought of a new feature for the future. That feature was when you're in pods, this pod right here, when we edit a pod, we'd actually like to see a color change so we can actually see where that pod is located. And I'm going to see if I can add that sometime in the future. That would be a good feature to add. It would be really helpful. And if it's helpful for me, I'm sure it's going to be helpful for you. So thanks for coming to this episode of RockSim Live Training. Again, we do these every Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 12 noon on the East Coast. If you have questions, you can send them in or you can save them until next time. So again, my name is Tim Van Milligan. Thanks for coming. And now I'm going to hit the end button to end the video. So here it goes. 3, 2, 1.